Okay. So in this section, we are going to look at first the relevance of measurement and assessment in education. So focusing on the relevance of all of what importance is measurement and assessment, or even evaluation is in education, it is really important to actually realize who are the users. If measurement and the evaluation is done, then who are those users of the information that comes out after measuring? Then we see what is the relevance of that information to that specific user. So the users of results or outcomes of an assessment or the outcomes of an evaluation are also called the stakeholders. So students are users, the educator, the parents or guardians, the sponsors, the administration of the school, then the supervisors of the teacher or this educator within the school. And then when we talk about government, we are talking about both the local government and the central government. Then this section for others, we can include the community, the community. Let me ask, of what relevance is assessment and evaluation to an educator, to a teacher? So someone is mentioning a very essential aspect there. One, that the teacher is using the method, and you cannot see know the appropriateness of a method unless when you, after using it, you assess the learners. Then what else? Sorry? Instructional materials. Instructional materials. Then the activities. Okay. The strength and weaknesses of the learners. You talked about something. Okay. This is the degree of attainment of the learning objectives. You want to evaluate the learning, whether the learning objectives have been achieved. The language of the teacher. The teacher uses language. You can find whether the problem was with the language. Appropriate language used. We mentioned the teaching aids. Teaching aids. Appropriateness of content. Yes. And others. So the outcomes of an assessment or evaluation is very central to the teacher, and the teacher is one of the users. Then after, remember that when we assess learning, we want to help the client and also help ourselves, because if learners have not attained the learning objectives, possibly the problem could be with the what? With the educator or the learner or the environment around the learner, which could include even the parents and the guardians or the government and the administration. So then the student should also share on the outcomes. What could be the relevance of assessment and evaluation to the student?
Level of participation.
Yeah, it helps the student to.
It helps the teacher, not the level of learner's participation in the lessons.
Okay. So that is the teacher looking at the learner. Okay.
The learner is also self-evaluation.
Self-evaluation. And the learner will also, in self-evaluation, the learner is checking to see the strength and weakness so that he can work upon improvement. What else can the student use assessment? Helps the student to find areas of concentration. Areas of concentration. The student gets motivated. Then we also see that the student is also able to do a comparison. Okay, even for career guidance. So this student will compare his or her past results in terms of scores to the current to make a judgment whether there is progress or regress. And also the student can compare the results with other students. Yes. Then we'll see where to seek for guidance. You find that in some schools, some students are actually the co-teachers who are not paid. You find the student is every day thinking of how to teach. I have a student who improved the performance by seeking how to teach others. So those are students you can add on. Then when we look at parents, all through you're getting feedback, right? Providing feedback. Even to students there is feedback. So you're communicating to the parent to see the effectiveness of the school itself and the effectiveness of the teacher and also effectiveness of the learner, so that the parent can find ways of helping out and supporting the learning process. For guidance. Even in provision of materials. and could be financial support, psychological support. Okay, creating a conducive environment for the student. So we've seen that there is financial support. There's also psychological support. Where there is motivation, you'll do better. There's that. So if the parent does not come to know about the outcomes of an assessment, then the parent has no ground for guidance. Then there's
also building a link between the school and the parent.
okay.
Promoting that relationship.
Yes, there is that you call it a rapport. Building rapport between the parent, the teachers, and the student. You find the parent is sitting with the teacher about the student to harmonize what to be done. So these sponsors could be like there is a parent, but there is also a financial. One who is buying books but is not paying school fees. One is paying school fees and another one is buying a uniform. You see the student has come to school, but the shoes are bought by someone else, the shirt, the whole village is on the student. So there are some partners that need information to see the effectiveness of their sponsorship and support about the learner. It also, assessment results, outcomes also help the sponsor and the student and the parent to select the appropriate school where they can actually take their student or learner. So someone mentioned about career guidance. We have left there. Feedback. Okay.
Feedback to the sponsors.
Hmm.
The performance of the learners within sponsors.
Yeah.
Partners. So
Hmm.
that maybe they are able even to continue doing the sponsoring.
Yes.
Beneficiaries.
So it gives the feedback to these sponsors so that they find ways of whether to continue or to discontinue their partnership with the school.
Lobbying more.
Others can even add more sponsorship and recommendations about the school in the community. And then the government is also seen as an investor in schools, and therefore has got to find how schools are performing to check whether the investments are making desirable outcomes. Remember that national objectives of education are set by the government, and therefore through the government administrative levels, right from the ministry to the local government levels of education administration, all of them have got to be aware on how the education institutions are actually yielding results as much as students' education progress is concerned. So they've got to know. We can actually segment our governments into local government units of districts, and then region, and see which region is having low education outcomes, and then strategize to help that region. Either it could be either materials or staffing or some weaknesses which we can actually, the government can identify using data collected from assessment tools. And actually that's why the government is actually making sure that some assessments are set by it to be in charge of data about education. In Uganda, that is UNEB, and then UBTEB. I've had TVET. There is, okay. And
assessment also gives government a roadmap for policy reviews.
okay.
Policy reviews. Because if the performance is not good, then they have to go and they review the policy.
Policy, okay. Curriculum. The government sets policies, defines curriculum, recommends methods to use, produces materials, instructional materials, infrastructure, then remunerations of public. Yes. I recently heard that even the art teachers are going to enjoy the salary. You call it salary enhancement? Is it true?
Not yet.
Okay. I was going to tell you to stand up and we clap for the government, but so the school administration now, you can also find the relevance of assessment outcomes to the school administration.
One is planning.
Planning.
Draws attention for them to plan well.
Staffing gaps. They also work on instructional materials, guidance for financial support. Yes. So in this, when we are talking about relevance of measurement, assessment, and then evaluation outcomes, we actually have to know who is benefiting from the outcomes and what is that person going to do with the outcomes. We've seen somewhere where there was a student who completed primary 7 and I think got 999, the lowest grades. Okay, it's branded to be a failure, a fail. When the student received it eagerly, the results said, now what should I do? When she went to the parents, they rejected the girl. I heard that student went and committed suicide. Yes. You see now the response of the users of the what? Of the assessment. Yes, the child would have done well in another field or would even go back and do better if she got emotional support, motivation, and courage from the stakeholders. She goes to the teacher says, no, me, I told you people. I knew that you would not. And you, by that way of life, you cannot do anything. You go and see what to do. For me, I don't know what to do with you. Now that one is rejected. The environment rejects the person and but the users have got to be support to help and enable the what? The student as the core beneficiary of the assessment outcome. So everyone is working towards making sure that the student gets better. So we are going to go to forms of assessment in our next session.